Tzu Chi volunteers provided relief and care to flooded areas in Chongqing, China. The influx of foreign waste has caused the price of recyclable materials to fall. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Jenny Lee. Thank you for joining us. Severe floods have devastated areas in Qijiang in Chongqing, China. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly assessed the damage and distributed financial aid and blankets to affected households.
Receiving the financial aid, the affected residents finally showed a smile on their face.
Financial aid and 2 blankets. Thank you and bless you.
After the floods, Tzu Chi volunteers went to Qijiang district and Yongxing town of Chongqing to distribute emergency monetary aid and blankets to 457 affected households.
All the electrical appliances were submerged. With this subsidy, we can buy a refrigerator and a kettle. We also need to save some expenses. The flood was so serious this time. All the electrical appliances in my house were damaged. So thank you so much.
After losing everything, this blessing arrived in time. The residents were moved to tears.
Walk slowly, don't cry, need to be strong.
I'm really touched. These affected residents actually lost more than the amount, but an overseas charity organization donated such a great amount of money. It's really amazing.
After receiving financial aid and blankets, Cai Changyin went home with volunteers. Seeing the devastated home with the help of these flashlights, she couldn't help bursting into tears.
This flood made me lose everything. I really don't want to live anymore. I'm so sad. I really thank you very much for coming to care for me.
The letter of condolence from the master has the power of comfort.
Don't get beaten by difficulties, which are only temporary. As long as we keep a strong faith, we'll pass the difficulties together. Tzu Chi volunteers in Chongqing always maintain the mentality of when others are hurt, we feel the pain. When others suffer, we feel the sorrow.
Every single word of concern and sympathy seems to communicate a strong faith, so that the survivors can continue to move on bravely.
Bazang, a scoliosis patient from Qinghai, is about to undergo surgery. In China, voluntary blood donors can collect donor cards and have priority in receiving blood transfusion in times of need. To help Bazang, Tzu Chi volunteers roll up their sleeves to ease Bazang's surgery process.
Upon learning of the patient's needs, Tzu Chi volunteers donate their blood.
The scoliosis patient we have been accompanying will undergo a surgery soon. If he has blood donors cards, he can have priority in using blood. So volunteers invited everyone to donate blood together.
I've come from my company to come donate blood to help the scoliosis patient undergo the necessary surgery.
Due to the pandemic, there has been fewer blood donors. Bazang, who has been receiving treatment in Sichuan for a year, sees Tzu Chi volunteers as family.
Look here. We just have received this. It is hot. Touch it. Now you can feel happy because there is love.
With this, he can undergo the surgery. Without this, he cannot undergo the surgery. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your help.
Bazang cannot wait to call his mother in Qinghai to tell her about the good news. Now he's ready to combat his illness.
Taipei Wanhua Jing held a charity lecture to celebrate the 4th anniversary of Wanhua Lifelong Learning and Education Center. The founder of Chinese Dale Carnegie Training, Mr. Qinghai, was invited as a speaker. Here's more.
Welcoming the speaker with rapturous applause. Many of the audiences have attended Dale Carnegie Training course before or are attending now.
A friend coming back from Turkey is a Muslim. Here is a Buddhist place, whereas I'm a Catholic. Some people here may be Christians. What does this stand for? It stands for the acceptance of Tzu Chi.
Zhang cited the psychologist Jung's theory of personality affects destiny. He strengthened his explanation with examples to guide the audiences with their confidence to inject positive energy into themselves.
We can adjust and strengthen ourselves in the direction of the true, the good, and the beautiful to cultivate a happier and healthier personality.
When I wake up every morning, I'll tell myself today is a new start. I want to make a change and love myself more.
Good character was set as the theme of the seminar. BC office workers found the key to a good parent-child relationship.
I think the point I need to strengthen is enthusiasm to my children. As enthusiasm is continuous, I need to learn how to keep my original intention of caring for my children persistently, how to maintain this mentality to treat my children after work so he can feel that.
The courses of Qijiang Wanhua Lifelong Learning Center are all inclusive and suitable for the whole family to join. To celebrate its 4th anniversary, this private lecture is a gift back to the community.
In is a 7-year-old student at Tzu Chi International School, Kuala Lumpur. After he learned that COVID-19 has taken many lives, he began copying Buddhist sutras to pray for a quick end to the pandemic.
I'm cooking cucumbers, vegetarian meat, and mushrooms.
The 7-year-old Ng wears a chef's hat and an apron and is cooking a vegetarian meal because he is supporting the school's call for 50 vegetarian meals.
Grandma, Grandpa, I wanted to tell you something. Then I told him to stop eating meat. It's better to eat vegetables because meat has life.
He'd tell his father to stop eating meat, but eat more vegetables. His dad changed because he realized the boy had learned compassion at school. So as his father, he should do his part, so he eats more vegetables and less meat.
The family has begun to eat more vegetarian food because on one hand, it's good for our health, and secondly, it's environmentally friendly and protects animals.
Ying's mother is a sincere Buddhist, so he copies sutras because of her influence.
After you copy the Dharma, how do you feel actually?
Peaceful, happy.
You must behave yourself to influence your child to learn good things. What kids need the most are gratitude and kindness, because they will be with him forever.
Having learned goodness and filial piety at a young age, Ying brings home what he has learned at school. He uses it in daily life and also influences his family with it.
Qijiang Kindergarten in Malaysia started a vegetarian cooking challenge. Students would take turns posting videos of them cooking vegetarian dishes every week. This challenge nurtures students' compassion and also teaches them not to waste food. Let's have a look.
大家好，我是林嘉晶，我今年6岁。我今天要煮的是酸甜豆腐鱼。
Despite her young age, she looks like a professional cook. Teachers at a Qijiang kindergarten want the students to accept the challenge of cooking vegetarian food.
我已经完成我的。
I finished my duties. I'm giving it to the next cook to accept my challenge.
来接受我的挑战。上课妈妈连说。
I finished the mushrooms on potatoes. The next cook is Ma Earn.
我是马野涵。嗨，我是马。
Hello, I am Ma Ahern. Today I'm cooking udon noodles.
噔噔。
Teachers hope the students can eat more vegetarian food and plant the seed of goodness in their hearts.
Because of the epidemic, we encourage everyone to eat more vegetarian food because we're concerned about our lives and we should also respect our animals' lives.
大家请吃素，因为我们要保护地球，还有保护动物。我们一起来数数看，爱自己，爱生命，病毒远离我。
Ma Ihan is personally involved in what to cook to cooking the food. His mother unexpectedly discovered his change.
He began at around 5 or 6 in the afternoon and didn't finish filming until 7 or 8 in the evening, and then he could eat. Noticing that he was sweating, I asked him if he found cooking this meal very difficult. He said it was difficult, so I asked him in that case if he would cherish his food. He said that he realized cooking one meal was difficult, so he would finish his meal.
The children's work and changes also inspire their parents to be vegetarian.
She said that she never cooked a dish before, so I felt that I should try to cook this dish for my family. And on the following day, one mother told us she cooked this dish and showed us the video.
Through these events, you can realize that cooking vegetarian food isn't difficult. And if the kids can do it, we can also do it at home.
Eating vegetarian food isn't difficult. When you are willing to take the first step, you can do your part in protecting the environment and animals.
Since 2018, China has prohibited the import of waste material. Hence, Taiwan has received a large influx of imported waste, causing the price of waste paper and plastic bags to drop. Resource recyclers worry that their work is no longer cost-effective. Salvagers would also lose their source of income.
This recycling plant in northern Taiwan has a vast amount of resources piled up. Although it is mainly engaged in recycling plastics, in addition to bottles, there are also lots of other debris that accumulates here. In fact, more than 20 employees are doing classifying work on this assembly line.
We came to this recycling plant, which has some powerful odors. There is also a lot of extra debris here, as this recycling company must pay more for labor costs to undertake more classification. In fact, many recycling companies are reluctant to do so, as they truly hope classification can take place at the source.
This company is willing to pay more in labor costs as they mostly employ new immigrants or women from impoverished families. Adhering to the concept of corporate social responsibility, they are also dedicated to environmental protection. A bundle of plastic for recycling that is taller than a person has been affected by the import of foreign waste plastic, as the price has fallen to just 2 NT dollars per kilogram. Now many recycling companies are no longer willing to take it as a waste of space.
Collecting discarded plastic is very laborious. The same thing applies to these 3 kinds of materials, but they are only certified for processing one material. It means that sometimes we are certified only once every 6 months. Basically, when we sort this, we almost all have to put it in our warehouse, which is not cost-effective for us. We don't think we should treat it as garbage and discard it. Sometimes, if the plastic is thin, 300 pieces are needed for 1 kilogram, and the salary we pay means this is not cost-effective at all.
In 2018, after China implemented a ban on importing waste, a lot of recycled materials started to be imported to Taiwan. The largest categories were paper and waste plastic. This led to the price for recycling waste paper to fall sharply from 3 NT dollars per kilogram to 1 NT dollar. This means that those who rely upon recycling for employment may not be able to afford a lunchbox after picking up these items all day.
After more imports came, the local price in Taiwan has fallen, with the biggest impact being the resource collectors on the front line.
However, the Paper Industry Association says that there is a tacit agreement with the Environmental Protection Agency that the price of Taiwan's waste paper purchases will not be lower than that of foreign imports, that domestic purchases will still be given priority.
At present, the approximate amount that the paper industry buys from abroad is about 1.2 million to 1.3 million tons a year. But in Taiwan, the amount that people collect for recycling is about 2.6 million tons. So in principle, domestic volume is about double that of imports.
120万吨跟260万吨，原则上国内是2，国外是1。
The recycling price of plastic also depends on the material and the current market situation. In terms of PET bottles and plastic containers, the technology for making functional clothes is mature due to recycling and reuse, and there are smooth recycling channels. This means that the recycling price in recent years has not been affected by China's ban on waste imports. In contrast, the price of recycled plastic bags has fallen by about half. Recyclers are also concerned about the impact of the epidemic and the collapse of petroleum prices, which are used to make plastics, which will eventually affect the price paid for recycled plastic material. material.
Last year, the price began to fall. Now that we are in this epidemic, the situation has caused price to become cheaper and cheaper. It may even cost no more to want to do this work because the cost of oil is very cheap now. And if oil is cheap, prices for recycled plastic material will always be depressed.
市场决定价格。
Everything is determined by the market, not by regulations. This is a free economic market, as Taiwan should be synchronized to the world market.
又跟世界的所有的市场是联动的。
EPA says that the main reason for the change in the price of recycled materials is the influence of international markets. The import of recycled materials has indeed disrupted the local market and depressed prices, driving the domestic recycling industry to the verge of collapse. In the case that no one wants these recycled materials, even more garbage will be generated and the environment may be even worse off.
Zero waste has become a way of life for many people. The zero waste movement started by Bayard Johnson has become a new trend in society. It sounds impossible to achieve, but it is really manageable if we make good use of the 5 R's.
The zero waste is no more a slogan. It has become a new way of life. B. Johnson of the United States started this zero waste movement, and her family produces less than 1 liter of garbage in 1 year.
To me, the zero waste lifestyle is not about complicating your life, it's about simplifying it.
A young man in Malaysia created a no packaging store. He also practices zero waste in his life.
When we were traveling in India, we took the train to another city. And next to the train was tons of garbage. We have never asked ourselves where the garbage went.
A
group of people in Malaysia held a carnival before. It was a carnival with zero waste. That is, no garbage was produced during the whole event. Since then, I came to realize that there was a group of people in Malaysia living their lives without producing garbage.
Wen practices the 5 R's to live a life with zero waste.
I used to bring home a lot of samples. I've kept them at home for 2 years already without using them. So I try to refuse these samples. If the goods are made with plastics, you can find some replacements. For example, you can use the toothbrush made by bamboo at the handle part so you can bury it in the soil and it will decay. I always bring my own coffee cup or a container to pack my food in the restaurant.
If the methods mentioned earlier do not work, Wen will recycle the items. He considers the last step in the 5 R's is a good way to reduce garbage.
We will produce around 1.2 kilograms of garbage every day, but 50% of them are kitchen waste. If you turn the kitchen waste into compost, you will reduce 50% of garbage.
The zero waste is a way of life. Its outcome will become obvious only when a large number of people practice it.
我是属于 Zero Waste Malaysia One Step at a Time。我本身是喜欢去海边的人，然后我也。
I love going to the beach, and I'm also aware that how the garbage can be damaging to our environment. But it never occurred to me that there could be a different way of life, because I always thought that I would just throw garbage into the garbage can and everything would be fine.
How can people practice zero waste in life?
其实在过这个零垃圾的生活方式的一个。
When I started out this lifestyle with zero waste, I also felt it was impossible. For example, when I drive, my car will also produce carbon, which is invisible garbage. So later on, I feel that zero waste can be defined as reducing your garbage as much as possible. If you can do it, it is very good.
Everyone defines zero waste lifestyle in their own ways. But they all have the same goal, which is to allow for our planet's sustainable development.
In Wanhua, a polio survivor is a genius when it comes to invention. Cai Mingyue's elderly mother suffered a stroke and is paralyzed, so he invented an assistive device which allows a caregiver to pick up and flip his mother's body. Here's a story.
Time to take the plane, Grandma. I am flipping your body.
This 92-year-old grandma is bedridden. Using an assistive device invented by her son, the caregiver can move her easily.
This is a reel. One pulls this. This is a safety belt. This is made from water pipe. This is exhaust fan with Wi-Fi. This controls the light in the living room.
These are all his treasures. Cai Mingyue likes to analyze mechanical circuitry. Although he's only a junior high school graduate, he loves to learn and analyze.
A factory across the street does electric welding. He learns everything and is quite intelligent.
When I accidentally touched it, my skin got burned.
This is his home and work studio.
This is an adjustable countertop and gas stove. This is my height. When my mother washes vegetables, she has her ideal height.
Cai invented these assistive devices to help his mother live more conveniently. His mother suffered a stroke 11 years ago.
Big brother takes good care of grandma. If grandma needs anything, he will say, "Anna, come and help grandma."
Cai said that his elder sisters have hired a foreign caregiver and they also come visit grandma. Cai makes ends meet by inventing assistive devices. He has never thought of sending his mother to a nursing home.
When I went to a nursing home, I felt terrible on the first day. It was inconvenient and I could not do anything. I do not want my mother to go through this. If sent there, she would not be able to see her family.
Cai thinks that he's fortunate to be able to accompany his mother.
Many believe that there is little chance of getting diabetes if you don't consume any sugary food, but in reality, starchy food can raise blood sugar level as well. What does it take to be healthy in mind and body? Let's learn from the facts from the professionals.
In the afternoon, a piece of cake helps some people release the pressure of everyday life. Ms. Chen, who can't resist the temptation of sweets, chooses sweets with low sugar content for the sake of her health.
It's less sweet and less greasy, and it tastes refreshing.
Mr. Ye also has his favorite sweets, which he strictly limits on weekdays.
Of course, we have to control sweet drinks, chocolate and cakes. Have just a little bit, not too much.
There's still some people who dare not even touch sweets. There are rumors on the internet that if you don't eat sweets or take sugary drinks, you won't have to worry about getting diabetes.
It's still up to your physique and diet. Rice has starch and it also has sugar.
You cannot ingest too much starch. After starch gets into your body, it will be converted into glucose. Our body will still absorb all of this.
In fact, in addition to sweets, many natural foods contain sugar. White rice, fruit, green bean soup, sweet potato, and taro are all rich sources of starch.
These are the foods that we frequently come into contact with. Of course, some of them contain resistant starch, and some contain more or less. We just need to pay attention to controlling volume.
Doctors say that the most important risk factors for diabetes are genes and obesity. It's best to control your weight, eat a balanced diet, and avoid excessive food intake.
Tzu Chi Elementary School graduates sit with their principal and share about their voluntary experience. We'll leave you with the footage. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.